Let's start with basic vocabulary. Who could fill in some blanks for me? What does environment mean?
Lives.
So lives, look at our environment right here. Is there living things? Is there other things? So what's environment? Anything that what? Surrounds you. Good. So it can exist as a living thing, right? It could be a non-living thing. What do we call living things? What's a science root word for living?
Biology.
Good. So biotic is living. What do you think non-living would be? Good job. Abiotic. Now for a long time, including your bio class, there was a class called ecology. It's the study of how living and non-living things interact. That's ecology, right? You study ecology at the end of biology, which is the study of life, because they want to see how living things interact with each other and non-living things. Why do you think the class environmental science came to exist, which didn't exist when I was in high school, didn't exist when I was in college, came to exist as I was a teacher, the first year of AP I taught? Why do you think this class exists? What do you think this class is for? I shall pause. As we study the interaction between living and non-living things, we saw, using every type of science, that there's issues, okay, during this interaction, and we need to figure out ways to solve these issues. So from environmental science class for the past 20 years, now when you go to college, there's classes called sustainable living, and I want you to think about that. So now when you pick a class on environmental science, instead of it being called that, it's called sustainable living or living sustainably. Anybody know why?
It's like how to live and also preserve resources.
I love it. So we went from let's focus on solving problems to let's focus on making sure that we live in a way that we can conserve for future generations. That's what sustainable living is. And not just resources, but non-living and living components of Earth, because some things have to be taken care of. They're not necessarily used, but we have to take care of them to make sure that they can be around, even our Earth can be around for future generations. So that's the main focus of this class. I need to make you aware of what the problems are and then get you thinking to how you're going to fix these problems, because you're going to be the ones that are going to end up fixing them. So let's talk about what are these problems. There's one reason why every environmental problem exists. Anybody know what that reason is? One reason. I shall pause if I don't get the answers. Overpopulation is the root cause to all environmental problems. It's because there's so many people in the world that these problems are a big issue of concern, right? I'm not saying don't have any more kids or any of that, but that led to escalating any problem that was already existing on Earth. Give me any others. Problems you know problems exist in the environment.
Pollution emissions.
Pollution. Ooh, I like that you said carbon emissions. Pollution of the air would obviously be a carbon emission issue. Anybody know what the carbon emissions leads to? Greenhouse effect, or climate change / global warming and all the issues that come with that. So I released air pollution and degradation. What does it mean to degrade our air or degrade our land? Make it worse is okay. Taking it to a lower state, right? Unusable. So fresh water that we drink, if it's degraded, it becomes something we can't drink. It's degraded, right? What else is an environmental problem? What do we do to our environment besides pollute it?
Destroy it.
How?
Deforestation.
Deforestation. I'm going to give you loss of biodiversity, because trees are living things, and in a forest you have a lot of variety of trees, a lot of variety of species. You eliminate one part of that chain and the whole chain is affected. Yes? That's the first time I get that answer today. Good job. What else?
Gabriel Lopez, use of resources.
Good. We abuse them, yes? So we deplete them, we degrade them. The way we use them is not sustainable at all because we overuse them. which is overconsumption, right? I'll just release that one. And what's the last one? When we use a lot of resources, what kind of happens with it? Have a lot of resources during lunch. Waste. Waste can be calculated different ways. We waste like garbage waste, or we inefficiently or ineffectively use a resource, which would lead to wasted resource. So what's the root cause? Now that you know? Overpopulation. What does that mean? Too many what? People or organisms, I should say. In this case, we're looking at people, right? And not enough? Good job. Too many people, not enough resources. Here's our current world population clock. Anybody know what the 3 top populated countries are?
India, China, India, and something.
Us. China, India, us. Every time I look, it's either India, China, us, right? But they have 1 billion people. We have 300 million, right? It's like a big, big difference. But 7 billion, when I started teaching this class 20 years ago, was 6 billion. Getting to 6 billion. Now we're at 7. Every year it's more. I don't think that'll ever be a question because we can't keep up. Resource depletion means we're going to utilize that resource to a point where it becomes unavailable, or a rate past where it can replenish, right? The highest rate you can use a resource would mean you're depleting that resource. And resources are anything you need. We're going to dive into different types of or categories of resources. The first one being the sun, which is called a perpetual resource, which determines all life on Earth. Without the sun, we have nothing. Who could tell me what a non-renewable resource is?
Something that's finite.
I like it. What else? That means there's limited amounts on Earth, right?
And even if it is unlimited, then we use it faster than it can be replenished.
So who agrees that non-renewable resources can replenish? Yes or no? I want to hear you. Yes? No?
They can.
So 2 people have an opinion.
I think they can. They're just really slow.
Good. That's a perfect explanation. They can. They're really slow. And because there's a limited amount, when you use a non-renewable resource, what happens? It's gone. Once you use it, it's over. That's what a non-renewable resource is. It's limited quantity, and once you use it, it's gone. May we see it again in our lifetime? Probably not. And the way these form, I don't see it happening in many, many years. Examples. What's the first one? Coal. Write that down.
Pardon the interruption.
Second one. Obviously oil. What do we call oil? Anybody know? Petroleum. Good. Which is an example of a fossil fuel. Along with coal and what's this? This one right here.
Fire.
Nope. Well, yeah, makes good. Natural gas. So natural gas, coal, and petroleum are fossil fuels. What's this yellow one? Nuclear. And this last one?
Rocks.
Minerals. Give me an example of a mineral.
Calcium.
Calcium. Wow, I never get that one. Good. What else?
Limestone.
Limestone. Made from the combination of calcium and carbon dioxide. What does that mean?
Reusable.
Reusable. I like that word. You should probably add that one. Reusable is the best way to say it because they are resources that recycle naturally in our earth, right? They're supposed to never run out. Notice how I said the word supposed to, right? Because although there's resources like water, species, they're supposed to be renewable, sometimes we use them or degrade them or abuse them to the point where they become potentially renewable and struggle to come back. Like fresh water, arable land, yes? Certain types of species. So keep that into consideration.